This season is brought to you by Plugra Butter, a premium European-style butter made using a slow churn process. Look for Plugra wherever fine butters are sold.
I'm nervous and excited. Let's see.
I hope we don't get stumped by the under 10 set. From King Arthur Baking Company, this is Things Bakers Know. I'm Jessica Badalona, King Arthur's staff editor.
And I'm David Tamarkin, King Arthur's editorial director.
David, I feel like today's episode is going to be hard for you. And not only because you are not a parent.
True.
But also because I get the sense from you that you find baking with kids to be, I don't know, sort of stressful?
Rude, but true. Well, I have some great memories of baking with particularly with my niece, Ella, when she was little. We made a cherry clafoutis together. And then she was maybe...
Ooh la la.
Yeah, it was maybe a little ambitious. And
did you leave the pits in the cherries?
No. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's the traditional French recipes are unpitted cherries because they think that the cherry noyau contributes a certain je ne sais quoi to the clafoutis.
Je ne sais choking.
Yeah. I know you're a safety first baker, so I was like,
right.
Wow, that's what you chose to bake with your niece.
I think actually it was a blueberry clafoutis, actually, yeah. But she's very young, and I don't know, maybe she didn't like the experience because at some point, like before we could serve the dessert, she threw the cherry clafoutis off the counter and it smashed on the floor, so.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I mean, it was an accident.
Oh, sure.
Or was it? I don't know.
Well, this is getting right to the heart of this. Like, this episode is about baking with children. I feel like, it's like the warning that they give you on the news stories. They're like, there is disturbing content ahead. So, like, this is an episode about baking with children. For a lot of people, the hardest part about baking with kids is this, like, the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two children, and they're not little children anymore. I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. And for the longest time, I had actually no interest at all in baking with them because they're both disasters, like they were like minorly interested, but I did nothing to like foster this because I was like, you're messy, you're slow, you like lick everything.
Slow.
I think I was sort of missing like perhaps the point of the exercise, which is not like producing a perfect baked good, but like doing this thing together. So then about a year and a half ago, I started working on the manuscript for this kids book for us, Sweet and Salty. And I was like, I need to adjust my attitude, right? Like I need to
You needed to gain some expertise in the field of baking with kids.
And I felt like I needed to sort of like walk the talk, right? Where I'm like, I really believe that teaching kids to bake and, allowing kids to bake is a really important thing. And yet, at the same time, I was like, not in my kitchen, though, buddy. So I had to adjust my mindset. And so my 14-year-old, still not super interested in baking, but my 12-year-old, who was like 10 and 11, I was working on the book, got very into it. And I just sort of had to like, kind of chill out a little bit about like, how did you get cocoa powder like in every single drawer? Like when you were making those brownies, like how is that possible? Like why is there always an egg that ends up on the floor? They're just like this stuff like that. But he's very into it, which is heartwarming. And he told me the other day he was making something that he's really gotten into making we have these quesadilla toad in the holes in the kids' book. So it's a cheese quesadilla with a hole in the center that you crack an egg into. So he's been making these. And I have made probably, I would say conservatively, 1,000 toad in the holes for my children over the last 14 years,
It's it's one of the perfect foods.
And so he was, making it for himself for the first time, which is great. And I was like real puffed up about it, And then he was like, yeah, it's great. I learned how to make these on TikTok.
What?
And not King Arthur's TikTok. Just like, they don't even have TikTok, I didn't think. But somehow he has found a way, and he's convinced now that like it is in fact TikTok that has taught him how to bake and cook.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's not the osmosis. No.
But that's life.
This
that's
generation.
Parenting life. That's
being raised on TikTok.
It's truly.
I gotta say, the stories you've told about your sons, as you've written in the book, have been so cute and so, I don't know, this sort of heartwarming in a way, and really gave me a confidence that this book was going to work, you know?
Yeah, I was actually, it's exciting because they had sort of watched the process and baked along with me as I was working on the book. But then, you get the first real copy of the book. And the first thing he wanted to make were the pupusas. So the book is split in half, like half sweet recipes, half salty recipes, as the name suggests. And I was so surprised because I thought he was going to go right for like the frosted, sprinkled, whatever. But we made pupusas together. He was so excited about like contributing this thing to the meal. Like he was so proud of it. He was so into it. And he kept being like, I made this thing. And I think that's actually one of the distinguishing factors between kids baking and adults baking. An adult bakes something for a dinner party and they're all like, oh, sorry, it's not perfect. Or like, I hope you like apples. Or like, I might have overbaked it a little bit. Like, yeah. And kids are like, I made this thing. This thing is awesome. Look at how great I am. It's delicious. They're like going around from plate to plate. Like, do you want another slice? Like, it's so sweet. And I was like, there's something for adults to learn here that like just, like such confidence and such pride in it.
Totally. Yeah. When do we learn self-deprecation? I mean, I feel like I came out of the womb making jokes about myself, but I love that. Yeah, we should all learn from that. And I also just want to say, in defense of your son, that I, a man in his 40s, after I bake, I find piles of spices in every drawer as well. And I have no idea how they get there.
Who knows what happens? You're in a fugue state. And also just seeing kids cook and bake, I think is great for a lot of reasons. Like, I think people are always like, oh, baking's a great way to teach math and teach chemistry. And like, yeah, but I think there is this effort to like sort of legitimize kids baking for like a learning opportunity. But I think like we're sort of missing the point of what they're actually learning through that. And I think, yeah, sure, they can like do some fractions when they are measuring things. And yes, they can like learn how to use a scale. Like all of those are good skills. But I think there's that sort of like intangible, it's like that feeling that you get when you bake something for somebody that you care about. And kids pick that up really quickly. Like that is a good feeling. And so like the caring for other people piece, I think it gets sort of lost in the like, why teach kids to bake? But actually, I think that's sort of like, that's the thing, right?
Totally.
If you can tolerate the mess and the hassle of baking and you can let them like do it on their own, like you're giving them this huge gift, which then, ideally ends up with like them baking you something really tasty. It comes back to you.
I think that I can't believe how much I'm resonating with what you said because it's so earnest, and I usually reject anything earnest.
I know. It's out of character for me too.
But it really is true. I mean, like I think you're so right. Like I have three nephews and 2 nieces, and when I think about what I want for them in their lives as they become adults, I can list a few things. I want them to be good readers, right? I want them to understand the power of literature, and I want them to be artists. I want them all to be starving artists. I'm always like, you're into science? No, go to the arts. But I want that they cook and that they bake and that they understand the value of that, the power of cooking for others, but also cooking for yourself too. And something that I've thought about a lot in my career and done research on is how cooking is on the decline. It's just a good skill to have, to be able to bake for yourself, to know how to do this, but also it enriches your life. And like you said, it enriches the life of everybody around you, particularly your gay uncle who doesn't have kids and is going to need to be fed when he's 80.
Totally. I mean, I feel like when I was first starting to bake, I was baking this brownie recipe from 17 magazine, which I probably got from a babysitter. So I baked these brownies, and I probably did like every single error known to humankind. Like I would forget the eggs. I would like double the salt. But, I tell you what, like you only do them once. And I think that is actually for the parents and caregivers out there who are listening to this, who are like me, that are just like the idea of relinquishing control in your kitchen feels very uncomfortable. Like that is the whole thing. I think we totally underestimate, how competent kids can be. If you want to inspire future bakers, like you kind of have to let them do it. Like they're going to make mistakes. They're going to burn their fingers. They're going to lick the bowl. They're going to make a mess. but you're sort of running the long game, right? Like, and, and I'm not the only person that feels this way. Like in today's episode, I talked to lots of other parent bakers putting this together, and we have special guest Sam Seneviratne, writer for the New York Times, cookbook author, also a parent, joining us to talk about baking with kids because she is a total pro. And then we also have, I'm really excited about this, all of our questions today are actually from kids. We put out a call to the children to ask us
of America, the children of America.
The children of America. So lots more to get into here. But first up, I'm going to talk to Sam a little bit about her experience baking with kids.
I love Sam. Sam is an old college classmate of mine. Fun fact.
Oh, that is a fun fact.
And we bake her recipes in my house all the time. She's such a great recipe developer, such a great writer. So lovely to talk to. I can't wait to hear this conversation.
Samantha Seneviratne is a baker, food stylist, and recipe developer, and the author of 4 cookbooks, including her latest, Bake Smart, a baking book that is cleverly organized by ingredient and includes such bangers as maple tahini chocolate skillet cake, recipe link in the show notes. I first got to know Sam through a show she hosted on Food 52 called Cook and a Half, where she cooked with her young son, Artie, and demonstrated what I can only call an enviable amount of patience. So she's joining me now to talk about the highs and lows of baking with children. Sam, welcome to Things Bakers Know. You have a son. How old is he now?
He is 8. He just turned 8 this summer.
Okay, wow, okay. How old was he when you started doing the Cook and a Half series on Food 52?
He was really little. I want to say he was like 4. Maybe he was little.
And I'm sure there are a lot of parents that are listening to this that are thinking like, I want my kid to have this skill. And yet, Sam, like, how do I do this without like totally like losing my marbles?
That's a great question. I have lost my marbles many times. So don't worry if you do. When we set aside a time to bake, it's not like a weeknight. We don't have anything else to do. You can't have any time parameters or mess parameters. It's like you have to decide that this is what we're doing and it's going to be a disaster. At least with us. Like there's going to be flour everywhere. It's like, oh, Saturday we'll do a baking project together. And that's what we'll do. But it's not just anytime you want to get in the kitchen and make a mess.
Right. For parents that are interested, like who want to get their kids into baking, do you have, recipes or types of recipes that you recommend that they start with? Like, do you think they should start with mixes?
I do not think mixes are necessary, frankly. Because what's a mix? It's just the dry ingredients measured for you. As long as you have the ingredients in your house, I don't think mixes actually give you that much more convenience. If you're making like an easy one bowl cake or like a simple brownie or blondie or something like that. And that's where I would start with kids. Those are the things that Arthur really likes to bake because it's like instant gratification, low effort, high reward. Yeah, you don't need that much. So as far as recipes go, like those recipes that have like limited ingredients, one pan, not many bells and whistles, just so that you can eat the thing fast.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably not a fair question because I think kids are so different. Like the spectrum of ability is so different. But like, do you have a sense of like, is there a great age to get kids started baking and cooking? Like,
I mean, as soon as they want to. I think as early and as soon as they want to. Obviously, it's going to be a different experience with a 3-year-old versus a 10-year-old. But, I think building an interest starts young. I mean, and I'm lucky because I think my kiddo wanted to do it because he saw me doing it and just wanted to be with me. So there's that.
What do you think? I mean, we've talked around this a little bit, but like, what do you think are the sort of like best and worst things about baking with kids?
Oh my God. Well, I'm like, all the hard things are coming to my mind first.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put a positive spin on it first. He's pretty picky now. He's in a real picky phase. So I think I'm trying to think about like, how are we going to address that moving forward? And I think cooking and baking together might help us. Like I started getting him to like look through cookbooks and say, what do you want for dinner this week?
Yeah.
And then I would make it because I was like, if you picked it, I'll make it. And then we'll it and you'll try it. And that worked pretty well. But I think the next step of that is going through cookbooks, having him pick stuff that looks good, and then we make it together.
Yeah, I think that's true. I also appreciate that you call it a picky phase, because I think, there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I have a picky eater, like this label on your kid. And it's like, there are some times that like, I don't know, as adults, you go through a phase where you're like, all I want to eat is, or there's definitely times that I'm like, you know what, I would like the ice cream and I don't really feel like my dinner. Like, I think all the things that kids do that we're like wring our hands about are like, honestly, things that adults do too. And I just try not to give it too much fuel. Like if my kid, like both of them are now, and always were like decent eaters. And then we were at this restaurant a couple weeks ago and they had a crispy rice salad, which is the lowest hanging fruit. Like it's fried rice. And he like refused to even take like a mouse bite of it. And I was like, like so frustrated by it. And then I was like, just because he doesn't want to do this in this moment does not forever mark him, And so I think you have the right thought about this. It's like you just keep showing up with the stuff.
You're totally right that sometimes all I want is like ice cream. And I indulge in that. Like I just try to listen to my body. And so that's also what I'm trying to teach my kid too, is like you have cues that you should listen to. And if you don't want to finish everything, that's okay.
I think that's smart. And I think I remember some, like when my kids were younger, your kids' age, like somebody telling me that like you have to look at what they're eating over a week, like not over a day, because like that's, always a little bit like, who knows, but if you sort of are looking at it with a slightly broader lens, I do think it shakes out, hopefully.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Tell me. So like,
yeah. We're going to call you back in 4 years and just
like, be like, oh, no.
Get an update. Yeah. Does Arthur have things he wants to bake with you? Is there anything on the list that you guys are?
Oh, good question. We do watch a lot of the like baking competition shows and cake and stuff like that. And so he's always wanting to make some like over the top, cake. Like he was really into making a cake with a swimming pool in it. I mean, okay, if you really want to, we can. But
did you do it? Did you make the swimming pool?
We did actually, because I was on a job as a judge of a baking show, and somebody had made like a big block of blue gelatin. So I took it home, and then we did it because I was like, oh, I have the swimming pool already done. So
you like did you like cut out like some of the cake and put the gel? Oh wow! Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty cool.
It was a while ago, but it wasn't delicious. I mean, you don't want to eat that.
I don't know. You seem like fun mom. I think, like you say, you're type A, but actually, fun mom is coming out now. Well, Sam, thank you for making time to talk to us today. I feel like you and I have a lot more to say about what it is like to raise children, to bake with children, to cook with children.
Well, I could talk about it forever.
I know. And I think, seeing you on the show with your son was totally an inspiration to me. And we are big fans of your work here at King Arthur. And we do have a few of your recipes. The sunken berry almond cake and the maple tahini skillet cake from your last book, Bake Smart, are both on the King Arthur website. So anyway, we'll put the links to both of those recipes in the show notes, and a link to your website where people can see all of the cookbooks that you've written and maybe watch some episodes of you. It must be sweet now that your kid's older too, just to have like that archived footage of like the tiny guy.
It's so much stuff that you forget, and then you watch, and it's really, really sweet.
I feel excited for people who haven't seen them before, because like they're a very sweet thing to watch, and I think hopefully will inspire some parents. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Got a kid in your life? Well, this episode is brought to you by our brand new kids baking book, Sweet and Salty. This is a cookbook designed for young bakers. It's full of fun, easy recipes, but also foundational lessons and techniques to encourage the young baker in your life to level up their skills. I had so much fun working on this one, and yes, I did make my kids help, although they didn't wash a single dish.
What's the point of even having kids if they don't wash dishes? There is a chocolate peanut butter tart in this book that has the brilliant addition of cornflakes in it, making each bite like crunchy and a little salty. Look, that is not just for kids, that's for adults. So I'm thrilled that this book is coming out into the world.
You can find Sweet and Salty wherever books are sold or on our website, kingarthurbaking.com. It's time for our next segment, Ask the Bakers. For Ask the Bakers, we want to hear from you. If you have a baking question for us, head to kingarthurbaking.com/podcast to record a voice message, and we may end up using it on the show. That's kingarthurbaking.com/podcast.
And of course, if you have a baking question that simply cannot wait, you can always reach out to our Baker's Hotline via phone, email, or online chat. Just go to kingarthurbaking.com/bakers-hotline. That's bakers-hotline, or call us at 855-371-2253. That's 2253, as in B-A-K-E, bake.
We've got questions today, and they're better than the usual questions, I think, because they're all questions from kid bakers, which I think is going to be especially fun.
It's better because hopefully they'll be easier, or maybe they're going to be much harder. I don't know. I'm nervous and excited. Let's see.
I hope we don't get stumped by
I'm terrified.
The under 10 set.
Hi, my name is Cameron, and I'm 5 years old, and this is my question. What do we do to make muffins puff up?
So cute. 5 years old. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, already getting interested in it. I don't know. Maybe their parent forced them to record this. Maybe the parents wondering they're too embarrassed to ask.
The parents like, I'm a terrible baker. Ask this question. Yeah.
So this is a good question, and it's a good fundamental question for beginner bakers. Like, why do things puff up in the oven, right? What makes baked goods go from batter to a beautifully risen, finished thing? So in muffins, in most cases, you're going to use a chemical leavener. So that's either baking soda or baking powder, or sometimes both of them together. Do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between baking soda and baking powder and why they work?
Sure. And it is really an important lesson to learn. I think about this actually every time I reach for baking powder or baking soda, just to make sure I'm reaching for the right one, because if you don't, it can mess up your bake. Baking soda is a chemical leavener that reacts to acid. And when you combine baking soda with an acid, it creates a chemical reaction of carbon dioxide, which gives the baked goods a lift. The important thing to know is that baking powder already has baking soda in it.
Right.
And it's baking powder is baking soda plus an acid. You have a saying for this.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Powder for puff, soda for spread.
Right. And if you have a recipe that has a lot of acid in it already, oftentimes you'll just see baking soda. So I'm always looking for where's the acid in the recipe. And if it's not there, then I know that I need to use baking powder because I need to put that acid in there. And acid can be sneaky in places.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when you're talking about acid for a kid baker out there, you might be thinking like, okay, what are things that are acidic? Okay, like lemon juice, vinegar. Yeah. And those are examples, but also there's other things like that you might not think of as acidic that actually, when combined with baking soda, will give you that same fizzy effervescence, that carbon dioxide. And those include buttermilk, yogurt, molasses.
Brown sugar, because there's molasses in brown sugar.
I feel like if you are a baker starting out, the most important thing is that you don't want to mix and match. Like if a recipe calls for baking powder, you cannot just swap in baking soda. So you want to make sure that you're reading the recipe all the way through, and then you're going to the pantry and getting the correct one, because they do perform really differently. You want to pay particular attention to that. This poor 5-year-old's like, I've already gone back to playing. So, yeah, that's why muffins puff. Let's hear our next listener question.
When our family makes banana bread, the middle is sometimes raw and the sides are brown. How can we change the middle so that it's not raw?
Oh, this has happened to me before. I think sometimes banana bread is like a big liar. Looks done. You're like, oh, it's so beautifully brown on the outside. And then you cool it, and the first slices are fine. And then you get to like the heart meat of it, and it's like pudding.
Ugh, gosh.
Yeah, that has definitely happened to me.
Yeah.
So
it's a thick batter. It requires a strong bake.
Yeah, and it has a very long bake time. Like a lot of banana breads are like 55 minutes to an hour or an hour plus. So we know banana bread has a fair amount of sugar in it. Like bananas have a lot of sugar in it, and then you're adding sugar, brown sugar or granulated sugar. So that means it's going to brown in the oven pretty quickly, right? Like the exterior, anything that's exposed to the direct heat is going to start to take on color pretty fast. So that's why you could look at it from the outside and say like, oh, it's beautifully brown. Below the brown surface, it has not baked all the way through. So when I'm baking my banana bread, I'll bake it part of the way and it'll start to get brown. And then I will cover my loaf pan, like loosely tent it with some aluminum foil, just to protect the top from browning more and give the center time to sort of catch up. So that's one tip that I think is helpful.
I think that's a great tip. The other thing that I think is really notable here is the color of the pan. Because if you're using a dark pan, that's going to bake the sides of your banana bread or any loaf or cake you're baking more quickly than a lighter colored pan. So if you're having this problem, try switching to a lighter colored pan, and you may find that you're able to get a fuller bake through the middle without the sides browning as much. You could also temp on a lighter colored pan and use both of these tips at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
I think for banana bread, like just a skewer or a knife in the middle is a pretty good indication. But if you want to be super nerdy about it, which I know kids are just dying to be nerdy. That's all they want to be, right? Our kids love being nerds. You can take the temperature, and the temperature you're looking for is 200, 205 degrees.
And so when you're talking about taking the temperature, you would take a digital thermometer and you would stick it right into the center of the cake.
You take it to the doctor, and the doctor says, you take an instant read digital thermometer. You carefully take the banana bread out of the oven. It's going to be hot. Use your oven mitts. Stick the thermometer in the middle of the cake, about halfway down. It's kind of fun because you can notice on the digital read, because it responds so quickly, as the probe is going into the cake, it'll change temperature, but you want to kind of find the lowest temperature and that's going to be the very middle of the cake. The top of the cake is going to be a higher temperature. The bottom is going to be a higher temperature.
Sure.
If you accidentally put it all the way down and you hit the pan, it's going to shoot up. You're going to be like, my cake's 250 degrees. So try to find the middle where it's at the lowest and judge from there. And you're looking for around 200, 205 degrees.
And, I think obviously the goal is always to bake your baked good fully. But as I said at the start of this question, like I have encountered a problem where I get to the center and it's just like a little gooier than I want. And then I just toast those slices in a pan. I just griddle them up in some salted butter, turning it like a pancake, which is a good tip anyway, even if your banana bread is fully baked, but especially good if you like have a little bit of, sort of wetness in the center. So not all is lost if it's just like slightly underbaked. Let's go to our next question.
My mom's birthday is coming up, but she's gluten-free. What do we make for her?
Actually, this is a good question for you, Jessica, because do you want your kids to make something for you for your birthday? What do you like to have made for you on your birthday?
Oh, this is like a real callback to our birthday cake episode.
That's right. You like a homemade cake no matter how it turns out.
I do. I mean, I will say my children have never offered or attempted to make me a birthday cake, and I feel fine about it. But last week, was my wife's birthday, and I made the cake, and then my son and a friend decorated the cake in the most like Moorish. I sent you a photo. It's like
it was gorgeous.
I mean, they just were, and it was extra. There was like pipes. They wanted to pipe, so they got into that. I think kids are really into decorating, right? So there was like 2 colors of frosting, and then like so many sprinkles, and also some flowers, and then some candles, and the whole thing was like just so extra. It is a luminescent cake, and I had to like sit on my hands while they did it because it was all so chaotic. And there's still like sprinkles in the floorboards and everywhere else. But anyway, I think it is entirely possible to make a very good gluten-free cake. And in fact, I think cakes take well. Like there are some things that are harder to make gluten-free. Like, I think there are challenges to making good gluten-free bread, which we'll talk about, later in this season. But cakes actually are not that hard to make gluten-free. You can just use gluten-free flour, like our Measure for Measure, and that you can use to make almost any cake gluten-free. There's also gluten-free cake mixes now out there.
One of our mixes is a confetti cake, so it's like perfect for a birthday.
Totally. So I think you can actually make a very good gluten-free cake just by swapping gluten-free flour for all-purpose flour and following a good gluten-free cake recipe.
Yep.
So that's, if you have your heart set on cake, I think that's a good path forward. Also, we have a recipe in Sweet and Salty, the new kids book, for these giant, they're like, like baseball-sized meringues. that then we dust with fruit powder. And they're really pretty. They're inspired by like the meringues that Ottolenghi sells at their cafes in London. But you could also just make them like a little bit bigger and then serve them with like whipped cream and berries would be a really nice gluten-free thing to do. I think the meringues are fun to make too. Like it's kind of magic to see egg whites and sugar transform into this amazing thing.
Totally.
Or you could even make like them bigger still and stack 2 of them, and do a meringue cake, which would be really fun too.
Really fun. Yeah.
I mean, there's always a hot fudge sundae, which
yes,
honestly is a great, or an ice cream cake. You could use gluten-free graham crackers or, store-bought gluten-free cookies to make a cookie crust and ice cream and hot fudge and whipped cream and still have the opportunity for sprinkles. So
you could use gluten-free graham crackers to make the s'mores Rice Krispie treats on our site. That would be amazing.
In answering this question, I will say also I feel like we sort of buried the lead, which is it's very sweet that you're thinking about what to make your mom for her birthday and to think about what she might like. So you seem like a good kid. You should get more allowance.
We should pay you. Yeah. Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Thanks for the question, kid. Every episode, we like to check in with Jessica to see what wildly surprising and full-throated opinions are in her head, a segment we lovingly call Jess-opinions. Jessica, I cannot wait to hear, what is your kid-centered Jess-opinion this week?
Man, I have many to choose from, but I think one of the things that's like ruining everything are kids' menus.
Ruining everything.
Yeah, they're ruining.
Okay, that's the problem with this country.
Kids' menus. Well, hear me out. So my kids have gone to restaurants since they were little. They still go to restaurants with me. And like, I hate that there's not like a sweet spot between ordering a $40 entree for a kid, but it's always like chicken tenders, buttered noodles, spaghetti with red sauce. And I think these kids' menus play into this idea of like, oh, all kids are going to want to eat is macaroni and cheese, chicken nuggets, spaghetti, whatever. And it becomes like this sort of snake eating its tail, right? And I just wish there was like a little bit more thought and care put into kids' menus, because I think a lot of kids will try things. They don't want like a giant portion of it, but we're sort of encouraging kids to become pickier eaters, or they don't get to participate fully in the restaurant experience because the offerings for them are really disappointing.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
And, I say this from my experience. I worked as a elementary school lunch lady for a period of like 3 years when I lived in San Francisco.
One of my favorite facts about you.
I know, it is a fun fact. And I would have parents call me and they'd say like, how did you get so-and-so to eat tofu curry with vegetables? And I was like, just exposure, right? So like the more we're able to expose kids to good food, the more, I think they will seek it out, which is, again, like a gift to them for their lives. There's like many opportunities in the kids' food space to just do something that's a little bit more thoughtful and dynamic.
That's a great point. But listen, I was at Penn Station the other day, about to get on a 2-hour train, and I was in the Pret-a-Manger, this little sandwich shop in the station, and I was like, what can I get here? Like, I'm not going to get anything that smells like a tuna sandwich or something. I'm not going to get that and bring it on the train. Like, I just was struggling, and then I saw it was like Pret for kids. It was bread, cheese, and mayonnaise. And I was like, that's it. And I was really happy with that, so...
That's funny. What are you going to bake this week, David?
This week, I'm working on my crackers. Because, crackers seem like they should be a simple thing to make, but I've struggled with them to roll them out. They get sort of like burned on the edges. And I don't know, I want to dial this in because I want to use my sourdough discard. And there's an easiest sourdough cracker recipe I'm going to start with.
I think that's great also because store-bought crackers are so expensive.
How about you?
I'm going back to my fall routine. We're just hanging on by a thread. Like kids are doing sports. They're just like, there's a lot happening. And so
it's time for croquembouche.
So it's time for a croquembouche. So it's time for crispy cheesy pan pizza is what it's time for.
Oh, yeah.
Which was our recipe of the year, many years ago, but is pretty much a Friday night staple in our household. So I make the dough on Thursday, it rests overnight, and then Friday afternoon I pull it out. It's baked in a cast iron skillet. Our kids love it. It's just a nice sort of like way to like reset at the end of every week. And so that's what I'll be doing every Friday from now until, I don't know, next May probably.
It's one of the best recipes that was ever developed.
If you haven't already made it, I feel excited for you to make it for the first time.
And it's kid-friendly.
And it's totally kid-friendly. Kids love pizza. Anyway, as always, I appreciate all of our listeners out there. Thanks for tuning in and joining us here on Things Bakers Know. Next week, we'll be back with an episode all about gluten-free bread. People have asked for it, and we are delivering. It is possible to make gluten-free bread. We're going to talk a lot about it. I'm excited about that one.
I am too. And listen, folks, remember, please like and subscribe the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or whatever niche indie platform you're using to listen to your podcast. More power to you.
And we love a review. Leave us a review while you're there. Love a review. Share an episode with a friend.
We'll see you here back next week. And in the meantime, kids, number one rule, follow the recipe. Things Bakers Know is hosted and executive produced by me, David Timurkin.
And me, Jessica Badalana.
Rossi Anastapoulo is our senior producer. Chad Chennai is our producer, and Marcus Bagala is our engineer. Original music by Megan and Marcus Bagala.
This episode featured cookbook author Samantha Seneviratne. Thank you, Sam. You can learn more about her work at samanthaseneviratne.com, and we will link that in the show notes.
Things Bakers Know is a King Arthur Baking Company podcast.